kind of making a lot of gay jokes and like trying to normalize all of these gay jokes. But Hugh Jackman has been plagued with rumors of homosexuality throughout his entire career. So back to Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. They're in this bromance at the time, but he separates from his wife, and you just wonder.
Ryan Reynolds lost it after Candace Owens went nuclear, dropping bombshells about his so-called bromance. No one saw it coming, not even Ryan, apparently.
Reynolds and Hugh Hefner have a relationship or something.
Turns out Reynolds had a cozy little arrangement with Hugh Jackman and Blake. She played it cool. Too cool, maybe.
His people really began upping the questioning of his sexuality after he played this really flamboyant character in the Broadway play.
But with Candace now dragging receipts into the spotlight, the entire narrative flipped. Suddenly, Blake's own rumored connection to Baldoni doesn't seem so out of place.
That happened to Justin Baldoni, whether or not he wants to admit that or sees that.
This twisted saga might have stayed buried if Hugh Jackman hadn't been yanked into Blake Lively's lawsuit. That's when the Reynolds story started unraveling.
Because we are learning that Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, will be deposed. And I suspect that might be making Ryan Reynolds extremely nervous, and I'll tell you why.
Candace Owens didn't just stir the pot, she flipped the table. She revealed that Hugh Jackman is set to be deposed in Blake's case, and just like that, everything people thought they understood crumbled.
And back, and they did some filming after the SAG-AFTRA strike, and somebody had admitted that they had done all of that dog pool filming. I said dog poo.
Hugh Jackman isn't some innocent bystander here. He's been shoulder to shoulder with Ryan Reynolds the entire time, especially during It Ends With Us. And that's exactly where things start getting shady.
By trying to replace Ryan as a husband and me as his best mate. Holy sh**. What the hell are you doing messing with my best buddy's wife?
Think about it. Jackman wasn't even in the movie. Yet there he was lingering on set, orbiting the production, and quietly tied to the people calling the shots.
Hugh Jackman was also in the now infamously cringe It Ends With Us promotional skit that had nothing to do with promoting the movie, which was about domestic violence, where Ryan directed it and he brought in his mom and Blake was in the background. We learned that.
Candace didn't mince words. She called out Jackman's part in that now infamous promotional skit Reynolds directed, a cringe fest so awkward it felt like a high school bullying PSA gone rogue.
Hugh Hefner then appeared at the It Ends With Us premiere. Again, not his movie. Kind of weird that he's hitting the red carpet with them. He obviously knows what is going on. What would that conversation have been on the way to the premiere?
The whole thing was twisted. Blake Lively made a background cameo, and Jackman? He played himself, except the version of himself that taunted Baldoni straight to his face. This wasn't promo. It was public humiliation, disguised as content.
He was one of the unnamed dragons, if you will, in all of this. And it looks like for that, he is being awarded for his contributions with a deposition.
And Jackman didn't just fade after that. He strutted down the premiere red carpet like he was the star, despite having zero involvement in the film. That's not friendship. That's someone pulling strings from the shadows.
Jackman is going to be deposed before the trial because Baldoni's legal team wants to get the full scope of Reynolds' conduct.
Candace Owens doesn't sugarcoat it. Hugh Jackman was part of Ryan Reynolds' bullying brigade. Wolverine himself, no longer the wholesome icon, just another Hollywood insider helping edge someone out. The friendly, charming image Jackman's built for decades? Owens tears that mask right off.
I have a lot of questions about Ryan Reynolds' bromances, his various bromances over the years. We've talked about him and Jake Gyllenhaal. And obviously, this has been a bromance that has been very much thrown in the public's face.
And it gets deeper. Owens draws a direct line between this mess and Ryan Reynolds' entire public persona, especially his obsession with performative bromance. This isn't random. It's a pattern. Reynolds doesn't just have friends, he packages them, like he's selling the idea of friendship for clout.
He's kind of perpetually highly publicizing his bromances is something that I find to be quite strange, right? Mostly because he's a 48-year-old man, Ryan Reynolds. He has 4 kids. And he seems to dedicate a lot of time and resources, like financial resources.
Especially with Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal, every tweet, every selfie, every joke, it's all part of Reynolds' PR choreography. A perfectly curated image of wholesome, bro-tastic normalcy.
Can hang out with one another, but he feels like he has to make that effort. So he's like, nothing's weird here, nothing's weird. Bromances are so normal. I mean, notoriously, that's the reason why he flew out Liz Plank.
But here's the real question, why go to such absurd lengths to prove something that should be effortless? Owens raises the issue no one dares to ask. Why does Ryan Reynolds pour so much time, money, and effort into convincing us that his friendships are just regular guy stuff?
Baldoni's podcast partner flew her all the way over, presumably to the UK, to provide her expert testimony as to why bromances are like totally chill.
Then came the Liz Plank stunt. Reynolds literally flew her out to appear in Baldoni's documentary, just to explain that bromances are totally platonic and nothing to see here. Owens doesn't buy it. She calls it what it is, desperate damage control.
The word romance is just, it's a platonic relationship between two men. There's no female equivalent to the term romance. The female equivalent is friends. And so the fact that we need a term to describe two men going out to dinner.
Seriously, who imports a public intellectual just to validate their male friendships? That's not casual. That's not normal. That screams panic, distraction, and someone terrified of what people might actually start noticing.
Romance is almost this permission for men to connect and to show love to each other, because it's like a joke.
At that point, the bromance stop looking like friendships and start looking like a PR smokescreen. Owens suggests there's something deeper going on, maybe insecurity, maybe something more, but whatever it is, Reynolds is working overtime to keep it buried.
So I'll ask the question, who out there needed that to be explained to them? Like, who needed this justification paid for to bring in an expert to tell you that guys can go out to dinner and it's totally...
And just when you think this can't get any messier.
He divorced his wife of 27 years. Her name is Deborah Lee Furness.
Equals boom, Hugh Jackman and Deborah Lee Furness announced their divorce. After 27 years of being Hollywood's golden couple, they dropped the news like a plot twist no one saw coming. It was sudden. It was strange. And it changed the context of everything.
His wife are separating. Now, factually speaking, no judgment from me, but Hugh Jackman has been plagued with rumors of homosexuality throughout his entire career. It has been speculated.
They said, "We've been blessed to share almost 3 decades together in a loving marriage." Sounds like a fairy tale, right? But apparently, the journey is now shifting. Translation, they're taking a break for individual growth. Sure. Because we're all just supposed to nod and smile like that's totally normal.
27 years is a very long time to be married. They announced their separation to the public in September of 2023. Now, just to plot that on a timeline for you, that was in the midst of the principal filming for Deadpool and Wolverine.
But here's where it gets spicy. The timing of the split wasn't random. This announcement dropped right as Jackman was neck-deep filming Deadpool and Wolverine. Suddenly, rumors started flying. Was the pressure of blockbuster chaos adding fuel to the marital fire?
Never really bought into him at the peak of his career, having married a woman that was 13 years his senior. Some might say, oh, that's ageist. People thought this is quite strange. He was 28 years old when they got married. She was 41 years old. So many people were saying right off the bat, no. This guy is using her as a beard, which is the term that people use when you're in like one of these cover marriages.
Then there's Sutton Foster, Jackman's Broadway co-star from The Music Man. The two were spotted together back in January 2020, and now the internet's ablaze with theories. Fans are connecting dots, whispering that maybe there's more than just colleagues going on. The kicker? These rumors heated up right as his marriage was falling apart. Convenient timing, huh?
Like I told you, that accusation, it can be real in a lot of circumstances. It goes on a lot in Hollywood.
Oh, and get this, there's no prenup. That's right. After nearly 30 years and a combined fortune estimated at $250 million, Jackman and Furness never signed a prenuptial agreement. Now, they're reportedly splitting everything 50-50ths. No. Legal buffer, no financial firewall, just raw division. Not exactly the cleanest break.
Ways people really began upping the questioning of his sexuality after he played this really flamboyant character in the Broadway play.
And wait, there's more. Jackman's sexuality has been whispered about for years. From marrying someone 13 years his senior to taking on roles with same-sex intimacy, the speculation never really stopped. It just simmered beneath the surface.
Jackman opted to kiss his male co-star throughout this production, even though in the original screenplay, there was no kiss between the male star.
Jackman has always brushed off the rumors, but now, with his sudden split and a new wave of closeness with Sutton Foster, the gossip mill has reignited. Is he just misunderstood? Or is there more to the story that no one's daring to say out loud? Public fascination with his private life isn't fading anytime soon, especially now that he's front and center in a very public unraveling.
It's a lie. It's just the bottom line, so it's just offensive. If he was gay, fine, he would say he's gay. It has gotten so out of whack that they say it's stupid.
Meanwhile, across town, Blake Lively was making headlines of her own. In December 2024, she filed a bombshell lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, accusing him of sexual harassment and retaliation. Baldoni didn't stay quiet, he hit back with a countersuit for defamation and extortion. What should have been a behind-closed-doors conflict exploded into a full-blown Hollywood courtroom war.
Okay, so back to Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. They're in this bromance at the time he separates from his wife, and you just wonder if that's also partially the reason why Blake's team is adamant that they need this AEO determination.
But here's where things take a sharp turn. Lively's legal team tried to seal off some extremely private details, specifically messages between Blake, her husband Ryan Reynolds, and her friend Taylor Swift. What exactly were they trying to keep out of the press? And could this be tied to the ongoing speculation around Ryan's own image?
They want the judge to agree to an attorney's eyes only designation.
To lock it down, they filed for a protective order, asking the court to designate certain files as attorney's eyes only AEO. That would keep the public from ever seeing the contents of those communications. Given how much scrutiny this trio already gets, you can only imagine the level of damage one leaked text thread could do.